Alright, Mr. X, it's time for you to die. Oh, I'm just kidding. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen, and ponies and brownie fans out there? I'm Twilight Sparkle here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of the Mega Man Marathon. So today, welcome back to more Let's Play of Mega Man 6 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short. So, last time we actually did manage to beat, all 8 Robot Masters. In addition to that though, we also managed to collect the beat letters to spell out beat, which even then though, we'll get to that as soon as we're able to use him. So, yeah, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're going to be taking on Mr. X stages, which are essentially almost exactly like the ones in new forms of Dr. Cossack levels from Mega Man 4, and especially noticeable in Proto Man's Castle from Mega Man 5, and especially noticeable for Dark Robot segments from Mega Man 3. But except the fact that, unlike in any other stages from the past Mega Man series, by the forms of Mega Man 3's Dark Robot segments and Dr. Cossack levels from Mega Man 4, and especially noticeable for these, Proto Man Castle levels in Mega Man 5, there won't any cheap moments here and there other than just enemy behaviors as far as I've haven't mentioned about this before, but even then, unlike any forms of Mega Man 5, that I don't find these enemies to be all that troublesome at all. The only ones I do manage to found kind of a bit of a tough time for this particular level as far as this is concerned with is the forms of, much like in Mega Man 4, there are a load of spikes all over the place. So even then, that I'm also able to be very cautious and be careful at the same time. So let's go ahead and switch over to Power Mega Man because there's actually this breakable wall that can be only break once you're able to actually fully equip, Rush Power Adapter on. So even then, if you do that, well, not only does it give you a whole abundance of the forms of some more weapon energy that you can able to actually refill itself, but also that, I don't know what that contains here, and also some bit of some health there, and another weapon energy, so seriously, there's going to be a lot of slowdowns in this particular installment of the game, just like it informs of how it does it in Mega Man 5, but still, I'm pretty much just might be something to do with the NES's limitations or something, so, or maybe there's too much too much stuff on screen, which I think that's what usually happens though, at least as far as I've just noticed something like this. So anyways though, let's go ahead and use the Power Jet Adapter, or in this case the Power, Rush Power Adapter on, and we've got a whole bunch of extra 1-ups. In addition to that though, you actually get access to the shortcut to be able to actually get to the first boss in the forms of Mr. X stages. So, yeah, that seems very promising enough, and even then though, that's not much else I could really just try to say about this for the most part. So, anyways, let's go ahead and equip ourselves the forms of this flammable weapon. I might as well bring us into its stuff. And here we go, onto the forms of the first boss in the forms of Mr. X stages, which these two duo robots here, these are known as Rounder 2, and I might as well take my first death of Mega Man 6, just because, well, I don't feel like trying to handle those two with a little bit of health left, just because I feel like I was going to be able to replenish my health enough. And what's different this time around though, I just realized, is that I managed to able to actually take my first death of the forms of Mega Man 6 this time around, though, in the forms of, well, almost at nearly the very end of the game, because unlike any forms of how it does in the previous Mega Man Let's Plays, no matter what though, they always attempt to die in any Robot Masters, but turns out I managed to take my first death in one of those bosses, and almost at the very end of the game. So yeah, there goes Rounder 2. His weakness is actually forms of this little what's the weapon that's called again? I totally forgot. Flame Blast. Yeah, that's the one. And you have to use the Flame Blast until you're able to deal a double amount of damage between those two, Rounder 2, and then that way we should able to be good to go for this point. So, now we move on to level 2 in Mr. X Castle level. So, actually before we get into this however though, let's go ahead and refill ourselves our Flame Blast, so just in case that will be fully regenerated automatically until we get to the actual boss rush, if anything else like that. Well, not until now though, because even then though, we've only just got started with the forms of the Mr. X stages. So even then, well, I'm probably not gonna spoil for this point yet, so even then though, yeah. Also we got these drill-like robots, so these guys are very easy to destroy though, just want to let you guys know. In fact, the difference is this time around though, is the fact that unlike in forms of how it does it in Plum level, in forms of Mega Man 5, that you know these little drill parts in forms of the actual, like, the obstacle that instantly kills Mega Man because, you know, it's all filled with spikes and all that stuff. Well, I don't think these little drill robots can instantly kill Mega Man this time, so I guess that makes it a little bit too easy for some newcomers out there, so anyways though, it's not too difficult or anything like that, but most like in forms of the Dr. Wily castles in forms of in Mega Man 5, you need to be careful when you're trying to position yourself, or even especially noticeable where these enemies just starts to kick in. So, and because of that though, actually I think I've already got full ammo for every single weapon at this point, so even then, there's no need for able to actually just waste and all that, so anyways, let's go ahead and just, oh, you kidding me? Actually, I think I might as well use Rush Jet Adapter, so just in case it makes it really easy to bypass every sort of enemies in contrast. And I'm almost gonna die there, so I might as well able to... Oh! Okay, thank you frame rates to able to actually just to make our way across without any sort of consequences. But hey, thanks. Alright, let's go ahead and deal with these little enemies here. And thankfully though, we're actually at the very end here, so even then though, now we can able to deal with the next boss in the game. But I might as well take my second death on this part because obviously I could not deal with this boss fight. I know there's a way I can able to use my energy tank, but I just feel like it, I might as well take my second death because I've already got plenty of extra 1-ups, so might as well take that. So here's the next boss in the Mr. X castle, and his weakness is the forms of this Silver Tomahawk, so that way it can do so much damage. So here we go, onto the forms of Power Piston, which even then, his weakness, as I mentioned to you before, is the forms of the Silver Tomahawk, and you have to aim it right on this glowing part, and then if you manage to aim it at the glowing part, that way you can deal some damage. So even then, that, not too bad if you know what you're doing, but it's just how the fact that these rocks will instantly get in your way, because as you can tell, the Power Piston managed to able to actually just use the wall to able to actually activate an earthquake or anything like that. I think that's mainly concerned with that. So, anyways though, now let's move on to level 3 of the Mr. X castle levels. And right off the bat though, we got ourselves an extra life down there, so I might as well able to pick that up. And if you want to get out of there, then simply just able to actually use the jet power adapter, in case if you want to break out from these little blocks right here. So, you know, it's not too bad, not too shabby either. And the reason why I'm going over to this ladder over there is because of this energy tank right from there. So again, much like any forms of how it does it in Mega Man 2 or something like that, and especially with Mega Man 3, the game is still very generous with you when it comes to energy tanks, and especially noticeable with health pickups, and even 1-ups especially too. So yeah, that makes it seems very obvious right here. And yes, I did double check on the forms of how it does it, as I mentioned to you before. In the forms of the original NES cartridge version of Mega Man 6, it always saw light of day on Japan and North America, but not in Europe. Well, it wasn't until when it gets to like 2011 that, or is it 2011 or is it just 2012? I pretty much miscount. I really have to apologize for that point because I haven't really looked upon release dates. Okay, so it wasn't until in 2013 Europeans can finally get hands on by the forms of Mega Man 6 for the NES for the first time in the UK audiences, because you know how the fact that the Nintendo Wii Virtual Console version back in the day just never saw this game the light of day, because of how the fact that, well, it's only been exclusive to Japan and especially noticeable for North America for the NES original cartridge version of the game, because I just don't know what it is. I think it's probably because of the time constraints of the forms of, well, didn't have enough time to release it or something like that. I wasn't 100% sure on that one though, but I might as well able to actually research on it properly, because, you know, on the element of magic, of course. Well, usually I just did some magic when it comes to spells and all that stuff, but normally I just know every single knowledge of these kinds of stuff, especially with my friend, you know, starts well defeated, manage to starts to kick in. Or in this case, just manage to able to trust me on that one. But anyway, enough about that topic. From here, this particular room is kind of dangerous for most people because of how the fact that if you step onto these these platforms almost kind of feels very similar to the ones in how it does it in Super Mario World. Seriously, there's gonna be a lot of Super Mario Bros. References, like in forms of similarities when it comes to obstacles and everything. But hey, at least it's not too bad for the most part though. So let's go ahead and switch over to you know, Rush Jet Adapter from Mega Man, so even though we can able to actually bypass this section completely, well, without even getting interrupted by the forms of most of these enemies here, especially with these little flammable enemies that keeps dropping those fireballs from in the middle part of the actual stage. So anyways, let's move on to the next boss in the forms of the Mr. X Castle levels, and this one is the Metonger Z. Which, even though his weakness is the forms of the blizzard attack, so as long as you get yourselves your aiming accuracy on this, then you would able to deal a quite amount of damage on this guy. But actually I think it's about time to actually use one of my energy tanks here, so might as well use one here. And that way we should able to actually switch over back to that, and hopefully as soon as you get enough hits on him, then oh, there's only one more. There we go. So that way he's done for good. And I'll go admit though right away, most of the bosses aren't that really much of a challenge though. Well, until when we get to Mr. X himself, well, you can definitely tell why since we actually get to this particular boss itself, until we get to stage 4, even for this matter, ultimately, is the forms of the last level in the Mr. X Castle levels. So, yeah, we're actually at the very end of the game already, so yeah, that seems very promising enough. So, anyways, let's go ahead and just refill our Silver Tomahawk in case we're about to be able to actually get some more weapon energies as soon as we're able to actually refill those all kinds of weapons like this. Because, again, much like in forms of how it does in the previous Mega Man games, that normally that your health or your weapons ammo wasn't going to be refilled every time you move on to the next level, unlike the Robot Master levels themselves. So yeah, that makes it very obvious there, so I'm guessing that makes it more, makes it up for it. But yeah, you get the drill, so even know that, yeah, let's go ahead and just, yeah, you're gonna have to constantly switching over between, the Rush Jet Adapter or the Rush Power Adapter most of the time in this particular stages like this, especially noticeable if you want to get some collectibles, like, for instance, the energy tank is right there, and let's go ahead and just, might as well keep on refilling Silver Tomahawk, in case if we're about to be able to run out of them, then we're pretty much going to be screwed at the very end. Well, at least for the most part though, anyway. And I did not meant to waste that, so speaking of such, let's hit into, you know, Mega Buster, and I might as well take a damage, but that's okay though, because these guys didn't do that much damage on me though, so even though that makes it very obvious there, so actually, I think it's about time to able to actually use of one of the Beat weapon, which even then, he makes a return ever since in Mega Man 5, where he can still able to actually just manage to take down his enemies no problem with Beat, but he can no longer target on bosses for some arbitrary reasons. And even then, that could be something related to, because even then, Beats can be very broken in the forms of Mega Man 5. I think that's the reason why they're just pretty much limited by the forms of, you know, Beat the Bird's designated bosses. I think that's the only reason why they changed things up for a bit for Beat the Bird this time around. So, I'm guessing that makes it obvious for this knowledge. So anyways, we got these really annoying shield-like enemies makes their debut again, but let's go and switch over to its normal formation, and let's wait for a while, and oh, it's so close to hit him. Okay, there we go. That deals with that. I do know there's a way that we can able to get rid of these really annoying enemy shields, enemies like this, but I just feel like just trying to able to actually just use the normal Mega Buster, because even then, I'm going to be saving up some of the weapon energy for the very end of the game, so yeah, you might as well consider this much. So anyways, let's go ahead and beat down this block here in case we're about to continue. And let's just avoid this little enemy over there, because even then, that way I'll actually just get out of my way for a moment there. really do like the music of the Mr. X Castle stages. It always kind of reminds me of the forms of Sonic Advance 3 vibe to it, to me though. But I don't know about you, but even then, no, that's just to me though anyway. Alright, let's wait until this enemy decides to... Actually, I might as well able to switch back to, you know, the Rush Jet adapter, and we get another extra 1-up. But then again, that you're not able to get 10 or more 1-ups or anything like that, just like in the forms of any other Mega Man games at this point. So, speaking of such, another energy tank. So let's go ahead and just grab that quickly after dealing with that enemy coming out of this particular hole there. And we can able to use the Rush Jet adapter on this particular section here, because I definitely noticed the fact that we're going to be using that a lot, especially if you're having a hard time doing some platforming departments there, then you know. So yeah, you get the idea. So anyways, let's move on to the final boss in the Mr. X Castle levels, because even then, let's go ahead and just equip the Flame Blast, but first of all, we're going to have to regenerate our health, so thanks to the energy tank for right there. Always found that menu to be kind of confusing to navigate, but it takes a while to get used to me though. So here we go, on to the next boss we have is the X Crusher. So even though his weakness is the forms of the Flame Blast, so even though that as long as you get yourselves your accuracy going, then you would able to deal a lot of damage on the X Crusher just fine. But you have to be very careful though, because even though that he's very predictable with the forms of the damage output, and he's down. So yeah, that's all I can really think about Mr. X himself. So my scheme for world domination has failed, but I still have enough power to destroy you. Oh, unbelievable! Dr. Wily's involved in this. I know that's gonna be happening there. Let the final battle begin. Oh really? It's about time to be able to stop him once and for all? Okay. So, yeah, I wasn't expecting that, because even now, as far as I've noticed that, it's so obviously Wily. I mean, I believe to me, Mega Man 6's story is probably the dumbest of them all. Because, first of all, you know you clearly tell in the forms of the ending of Mega Man 5 that, you know the fact that Dr. Wily managed to get away. And that particular story wasn't tied, so even though that makes it a little bit more... comes out of nowhere, and it's so obviously Wily with Mr. X's design, or it's almost exactly look like one. But the story might be a little bit more ridiculous, just being plain funny. But anyways, you get the drill. We get ourselves the forms of the Wily's Castle stages once again, and you know, it's not too much of a big of a deal for this particular point. And to me, I think the Wily Castle stages are a piece of cake this time. Because, well, the level design got a little bit more, still a bit obnoxious than Mega Man 3, because there's still going to be some spikes all over the place, and, you do need to be very accurate with the forms of the Rush Jet adapter sometimes, because even then, though, because it doesn't, give you a lot of momentum when you're trying to hover in for those parts, but you have to time it at the right moment, in case if you're about to be safe from those spikes there, as you can see there. But even then, I barely, dodge that, so even then I managed to able to dodge that for reals then. So, you know, we're gonna be going through Wily Castle stages once again for the 6th time in a row, or in this case Dr. Wily stages for a 6th time in a row, but, you know, it's not much, since it's no longer a goblin, but even then, there might be some little bit more of a consumption for that. So let's go ahead and keep on refilling our Silver Tomahawk until we get to later on, and we'll go ahead and just continue on here. So, yeah, it's not much of a big of a deal though, to be honest. So, anywho, oh wow, we actually reached at the very end of the level, actually. Okay, so let's go ahead and use, well, might as well able to refill our Silver Tomahawk and use that particular, well, I don't know what that weapon is called again, but again, I do apologize for that. It's the Yamato Spear, and then we're about to be taking on this particular dinosaur robot, but he forms of the Mechazaurus, which even though he's pretty much almost exactly like the ones in the forms of one of the boss fights in Mega Man 4 and 5 at this point, but except it's not that much challenging this time around, although he just stands there and then he occasionally fires these fireballs, and most of the time that he's just sending out some of these platforms over there. But to make this fight a little bit easier is that again, with the energy tank energy tank is to spare, then you would able to actually just destroy him, no problem. So you must able to actually just to destroy the well, considering his head, and then that way you should able to actually finish him off directly. So, but again, the only thing about this boss fight though is that much like in Tycho Trash from Mega Man 4, that you do need to be exactly at the right moments to able to actually get this one shot at it. So, well, not one shot at it, but it's just how the fact that you need to be so accurate with, you know, the forms of the actual spear shots. So, there we go. That concludes Dr. Wily's Capsule Stage 1. And now let's move on to Dr. Wily Stage 2. And right from the bat, that we got ourselves an energy tank, while simply able to actually use the well, the Rush Power Mega Man here, so that we can able to actually just go ahead and prowl for that block here. And of course, would you believe it, we got ourselves an Ice Physics this time around, in the forms of the Dr. Wily's Castle stages this time around. So, I did not expect this to see how this will turn out to be, because even then, just like in the forms of how it does it in Blizzard Man stage, and especially with Iceman stage, and even Flash Man stage from, you know, from any other Mega Man games at this rate, then, you pretty much guarantee how this will go. So, hey, with all those disappearing blocks give you a hard time, well, to simply use the Rush Jet Adapter, and you have to be very fast though, because if you do not make it in time, then you're probably not going to able to make it by this far. So, I do know there's a secret way to get to there. Like you're gonna have to do a ridiculous timing to able to actually melt that ice down. With the forms of use the jet you know, use the jet adapter, and especially another energy tank. Oh, how generous of this game how this will goes. And yeah, if you manage to take the secret route, by the forms of, you know, these disappearing blocks that I was on about, well, you can simply just manage to skip the top portion of the level, which even then, considering that a particular alcove managed to able to lead you to where the shortcut is, if you can't be bothered to deal with the disappearing blocks. So, but again, it's all about ridiculously well-timing, you know, jet adapter business, and especially noticeable with the forms of the, well, the flame blast of anything like that. And then if you, as soon as you time that right, then you would able to actually just classify to able to actually just go ahead and then skip the almost the majority of the level. Well, almost, but still. Yeah, there's no way I can able to refill my weapon if I manage to do that. And I don't think I can get that health though, because it's not worth it, because it's filled with spikes up in the ceiling. So, and because of that though, we reached at the very end of Dr. Wily Stage 2. So let's see what this next fight, or the next fight we're going to be fighting against. But first of all, let's go ahead and equip the Windstorm, because that might be his weakness. And from here, we're actually going to be fighting the Tank-CS2. And this guy is just an absolute joke. I mean, it's laughably easy. He just drives straight forward, and then as a result, if he just keeps shooting. As long as you're able to actually use the wind power, or in this case, the just the windstorm, then you would able to conquer that no problem. So yeah, that's all I can really think about for this particular boss. It's just laughable. How generous. How generous this game sometimes, and yeah, that's what I can go for. Alright, so let's move on to Dr. Wily Stage 3, and as a result, we're going to be in underwater for the entire time for the first part of this level, and there's an energy tank right there, so yeah. So, of course, we still need to dodge those spikes, and what makes it a little bit trickier for this throughout is the fact that we got these annoying cheap enemies still present once again, ever since you're doing the likes of Implant Man level, except you thankfully don't have to deal with these spring obstacles until you're able to actually get to the leaps of faith situation, unless if you actually use the Rush Jet Adapter to make this level a whole lot easier. And I'm as well able to actually just to fill up my Flame Blast, because, well, we'll get to that as soon as we get to the very end. And also, we might as well able to fill up the Blizzard attack as well, and another refilling your health type of stimulation stuff. And we'll go ahead and just switch over to Jet Adapter in case if we're about to skip this entire part. And there we go, that'll just the job done. And let's see what's beyond in here. Oh yeah, we got these 3 cannons we're gonna have to deal with right here. So Thankfully, these cannons aren't too much of a big of a problem though. Well, there's only one of them exception, but he forms at the highest height as possible. But to be honest, I think I'm actually gonna go ahead and just skip past him. So even then, I'm also able to actually just bypass him with the jet adapter quickly. And that way we could potentially try to make our way to the teleportation device. And from here, that way we instantly manage to get into the boss rush room, which just like before, we're actually going to be having a rematch against with all 8 robot masters for a second time in a row. But, you know, you get the idea. So, again, we're going to be going for Plant Man stage for Plant Man first this time around though, because I feel like might as well save the Windman for last, just because I feel like Windman can get pretty tricky at times, because even then, because, well, you can definitely tell why. And also, you know the weakness that I've got for Windman, which was originally the forms of, well, you can definitely see why, since we're able to actually just go ahead and strike, you know, Plant Man with the forms of the Blizzard attack, so thankfully, he's very, very easy with that specific weapon's weakness. And, let's go ahead and move on to the next Robot Master, which is... Although, first of all, I need to equip that. And, oh, it's just Blizzard Man. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Flame Blast, because, well, you know, that's the whole entire weakness is all about. And, I don't really think that Mega Man 6 doesn't have the Mystery Tank, unlike any forms of how it does in Mega Man 5. But I can assume it because it just makes this game a total breeze if you manage to know what you're doing. But anyways, again, his weakness is the forms of the Flame Blast, and boom, he's down for good. And now we're going to be moving on to the next one, and I believe we'll go ahead and we'll switch over to Mega Buster just in case. And the next Robot Master we're going to be having a rematch against is, of course, Flame Man. Of course, his weakness is the forms of Windstorm, because, you know, that's what the main suggests. But again, I found, you know, Flame Man to be a lot easier than the likes of the ones in Fireman from Mega Man 1 and Heat Man from the likes of Mega Man 2, just because he it moves very slowly this time, which I could assume is this much. And, you know, with the forms of every time you kill the, excuse me, every time you actually kill one of these Robot Masters, then obviously, you might as well able to get your health back. So even then, though, if you keep on getting hit several times by the forms of most of these weapons, then you can simply just manage to pick up your health, pick up again, and then that way you should be good to go here. So, alright, so let's go with Tomahawk Man, which again, his weakness is the forms of Plant Barrier. But unfortunately, I've run out of them, so I might as well able to deal with him with the Mega Buster, which... Admittedly though, it wasn't as useful as the ones in Mega Man 5, regrettably, I will admit though right away. But, for the most part though, I think the weapons in Mega Man 6 aren't half bad. Which even then though, that the only 2 weapons I barely use for this for the most part though, are the forms of, well, the Plant Barrier and the Blizzard attack, which admittedly though, that might be some consumption, so... Anyways, here we go with Centaur Man, which is only weak to is the forms of that specific Nightman's weapon, which fundamentally is the forms of Night Crasher. Because, yes, that's what his weapon is called, if you notice if I haven't really established that name for that weapon though. So, I must confess right about now, I do apologize for that. So, anyways though, let's go ahead and just switch over to Silver Tomahawk and deal with the next Robot Master to deal with, and that's the forms of Yuntar Man. So, again, his weakness is the Silver Tomahawk, so you guys should know the drill. So, and then on second thought, I'm also able to use my energy tanks, so I've got 7 of these things for this point now, so... Because again, that Mega Man 6 loves to able to be very generous with you with the forms of the energy tanks storage, which even then, that just makes the game a total breeze and very easy at the same time, compared to the likes of how it does it previously. So, anyways, we already got 2 more Robot Masters left, so let's go ahead and just use, yeah, why not? Might as well able to use that specific, you know, spear weapon, so that way we can deal with Nightman. As far as I've noticed, something is that the Silver Tomahawk does not deal the damage on the forms of Nightman, because only the spear can do it. So even then though, because of that, if you use the Silver Tomahawk into this particular Robot Master, then it completely defends itself. So, you know, spawn and pointings out right away. So now we move on to the forms of the last Robot Master, and I might as well able to use the Scimitar Flash for last, because that might be Airman's or Windman rather's weakness. So and that way, you know, the Scimitar Flash could be act out Screen Nuke, just like any forms of Rain Flush from Mega Man 4. So even then, again, time it very, very accurately as soon as his invincibility frames is finished, just like any forms of Gyro Man from Mega Man 5, when you're trying to use that specific, you know, the Screen Nuke weapon. So that way, that concludes all 8 rematches with the forms of 8 Robot Masters. So, and also that concludes Dr. Wily Capsule Stage 3. So now we're moving on to the final level in Mega Man 6, and that's the forms of Dr. Wily Castle Stage 4. So, yeah, and that way we can able to actually stop Dr. Wily for the 6th time in a row. Geez, 6 games to able to actually try to stop Dr. Wily, and then it still continues until the future games in the series. Oh, jeez, I couldn't imagine what Mega Man 11 will be like. But anyways, before we deal with Dr. Wily, we're gonna have to deal with this particular machine thingy again. And this might be the final time we're gonna be doing with this, because after that, then we're never gonna see that particular contraption ever again. Well, I'm not sure until when Mega Man 11 will be bringing that back, but hey, we'll find out eventually. So, and as soon as you're done with that, and before we get into the true final battle in Mega Man 6, we have Eddie for the final time in Mega Man 6. And hopefully we'll see him again until when it gets to Mega Man 7, because we'll mention about that until when Rarity decides to go from Mega Man 7 until tomorrow and onwards. So here we go, folks, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final boss in Mega Man 6. We have Wily Capsule, oh no, Wily Machine 6, sorry. I'm just a little bit spoiled heavy, haven't I? So, ironically, I noticed the fact that much like the top spin weapon from Mega Man 3, that the final boss's weakness, well, at least in Mega Man 3, Gamma, weakness is the forms of the top spin weapon. However, though, with the forms of Wily Machine 6, and especially noticeable with the final form, which is Wily Capsule, their weakness is the forms of Silver Tomahawk. So if you manage to able to time your aiming shots just right, well, granted, I haven't really aimed this thing quite well enough as I was hoped, but even then, you can able to deal an insane amount of damage with the forms of the Silver Tomahawk weapon. So that could be something else, you know. And let's go ahead and just use the energy tank for the, well, presuming the final time, if it's roughly though. And just like in the ones in the forms in Mega Man 5, Wily Capsule 2, he'll teleport all over the place, and at the same time, he spreads out these energy balls right at you, so you have to stay sharp on that one, so as long as you get your accuracy aiming going. And then, yeah, that's what I can really think about Wily Capsule, so, but even then, that might be some conception, so, alright, there he goes. Of course, Dr. Wily, you down for good for the 6th time, begging for forgiveness for the 6th time, and let's see what happens then. Oh my goodness, Mega Man brought a rope! There he goes. Dr. Wily has finally been captured and got himself in prison now. Triumph and Blast. Mega Man arrests the nemesis Dr. Wily and brought him to justice. Sentenced to prison for his crimes. Dr. Wily now rolls over a prison cell. At long last, the world is at peace. Whew, thanks Celestia. It's been taking 6 games, and none of them will possibly make themselves a little bit more of a difference when it comes to that. So yeah, now Dr. Wily has finally got arrested, and we're able to actually just finally get that over with and done with. But I will admit though, to be fair, the endings in any other Mega Man games didn't exactly notice something whenever they're doing a little bit more of the current situations. But I still think the ending in Mega Man 4 is just a bit too lackey. Well, still it can be a little bit different when it comes to that, but I'm sure enough that at the same time, it's not that too much of its own things there, so I have no idea why the Scimitar Man just keep on teleportating all the time. I'm guessing because of my emulation for my capture card, Capture Card HD Pro. Have some bit of issues with some emulations with the old games here and there, but don't worry, when we get to the 16-bit world, well, things were able to turn out as, well, successful and less sprite flickering. So, but even then, we don't have to worry about that until now. Well, until Mega Man 9 and 10, that we're going back into 8-bit settings. So, anyways, you know the drill. The staff credit shows you all about every single robot masters you face, and also what numbers they actually represented in. So, you know, it's nothing too surprising right there, but at least it's kind of cool to look at. And also, you can actually now see the robot masters actually doing something a little bit more, well, something for once, during the likes of the credit sequence. And you can also see, actually I will admit though right away, is that the graphical style with the forms of the credit sequence almost feels a bit too similar to the likes of Mega Man 5 one. But I will say though, is the fact that the weapons, let's get to the final thoughts of Mega Man 6. Overall, this game might actually be one of the easiest games in the series. Well, at least because of thanks to the forms of the rush adapters as being firstly introduced, and also most of the stages aren't nearly as frustrating as the forms of the previous games in the series. In fact, the weapons in Mega Man 6 are a lot better than the likes of how it does in Mega Man 4 or 5 to me though. But even then though, it's a very enjoyable experience. It might be not too difficult for the most part, but even then though, as long as you're able to actually have some fun with, you will have a lot of fun with this for this particular installment. But apart from that though, that's all I could really think about for Mega Man 6. And that pretty much does it for the every single adventures of Mega Man on the NES, which is about time because now we're going to be jumping into the next generation of consoles for Mega Man games, but in forms of, well, 16-bit world and the 32-bit, or any kind for that matter, which is the things I was really looking forward to, even including Rarity. I'm actually looking forward to that, and even Blossom, Buttercup, Knuckles the Echidna, and Mega Man himself. Well, granted though, Mega Man and Knuckles will be still stuck with the 8-bit setting, but at least even then, that's all I usually want when it matters to come. So even then, there may be some little bit more of a, well, I don't know. So, yeah, that's all I can really say about Mega Man 6. Steve Nendo, hope you guys do enjoy Mega Man 6. Steve Nendo, that's, yeah, I do appreciate it with this kinds of stuff. I still cannot believe we're actually on, 6 games done, and we've, still ended up going to be tackling through the rest of the games of the series, which even then, though, we haven't got that far to it, though, because even then, though, we're actually on the halfway point of Mega Man series at this point in time. But even then, though, I'm really looking forward to this particular, ending portion of Mega Man series has to offer until, you know, before when Mega Man 11 is finally going to come out, and even then, really looking forward to that kinds of stuff like this. So, yeah, hope you guys do enjoy Mega Man 6 Let's Play, and this is me, Princess Alicorn Twilight Sparkle, from the likes of the Maxi Toys. And until then, tune in next time, but in forms of the next Mega Man game in the series, but in forms of Mega Man 7, where Rarity is the only one she's going to be tackling for that game, and jump into 16-bit world. To be continued. An excuse to break out of jail. That's why I thought so anyway, so hope you guys do enjoy it, and I'll see you guys next time for that. So see you guys then. Bye. And also ponies as well, so don't forget. I'm getting ahead of myself these days, but even then, that's what I can really say about this. Anyways, thanks for watching, and until then, I'm off. So see you guys then. Yeah, I know, because, you know... Actually, there's one more thing I forgot to show you guys, is the fact that thanks to, well, a lot of Let's Players attempt to do this, because even then, I accidentally skipped this particular secret alcove in the forms of Tomahawk Command level, that normally you can able to actually get into the normal route. And by the way, I'm actually using a password system, by the way, because even then, much like in the forms of any other Mega Man games, there was a password system. So even then, if you actually input those password system correctly, then you would able to actually lead you to where you're going to be going to. So even then, if you see this little cracked block over there, and this could be only accessible with the forms of the Rush power adapter for Mega Man, and then once you break the block several times, then you would actually realize about something. You might actually discover something secrecy here. So even then, if we go to the left, here's that familiar whistle. Hey, that's Proto Man. And here we go, ourselves this particular weapon, or the item I totally ignore in the majority of the Let's Play, and that's the forms of the, well, the energy balancer, which basically, I don't know what that does, but even then, I'm pretty sure it actually gives you, like, restoring your health or the weapon energy that you're currently using, so I forgot to mention about that. So yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this Let's Play of Mega Man 6, and sorry I just ignored that weapon. So this is me, Twilight Sparkle, and until then, see you guys then. Bye!